Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to season 4, episode 28 of the Juco Editz podcast. Today, I'm going to be joined with Andrew Walling, minor league pitcher for the Philadelphia Phillies in AAA.
Yes, sir. Got the bump late last
Yes.
season.
All right, so Andrew, first off, that I want to talk to you about is talk to me about Castle Rock, Washington, your hometown.
Yeah, it's small town. Grew up there basically my whole life. Bounced around a little bit, but uh, lived there, but went to school and high school actually in Longview, Washington. I would say
Okay.
that's more home. More of the family and friends are from there. Played my high school ball there at Long High School, but small towns, good communities, uh, in the rainy Pacific Northwest. So that's always fun playing the spring ball in rain. We're always praying that the games don't get canceled during the high school season. You're always playing double headers, so that's always a fun experience. But I think it's a lot of lessons learned, and you can find those different markers of resiliency when you play in those environments.
So next, Andrew, what was your recruitment like out of high school?
Yeah, recruitment was it was pretty crazy. Didn't really have aspirations or an understanding of what it was going to take to be a collegiate baseball player. Uh, my I believe sophomore or freshman summer, I started throwing a little harder on the mound, and all of a sudden schools kind of started inquiring about, hey, you thinking about playing after high school? And so those doors kind of started to open, and that's when I really started to pursue it a little bit harder. Baseball had always been my favorite growing up, though. So I think the recruiting process started about when I was 16. It was probably when it started to get pretty heavy for me. And a lot of the Pac-12 schools, I think that was mostly where I was interested in being. Being a younger high school kid, I wanted to stay a little closer to home, I think, right out of high school. So that's kind of what ended my decision with ending up at Oregon State. I really enjoyed what the coaching staff there had to offer, and I felt like that was going to be where I wanted to go play my first year of ball and pursue it from there.
So 2019, your freshman season at Oregon State, you pitched in 7 games, all in relief, with going 6 and 2/3 innings, struck out 3 batters, and so there's a couple games I want you to talk to me about if you can remember them. Okay, the first
Mhm.
one, Oklahoma State.
Goodness, I don't even really remember throwing in that one. That is a while back. Yeah, I know we were at Goss. They came to us. Um, I think it was just it was a mid relief appearance, but that year was an interesting one. That was my first year removed from Tommy John surgery. I got Tommy John my senior year of high school, so I think a lot of that year was me kind of figuring out again who I was, working through a little bit of that post year Tommy John surgery. I always feel like it's a little tougher for guys that initial year removed from the surgery. You don't quite know where your body is in space. You're still trying to kind of figure out that pattern again. So I think a lot of that for me was I just needed to continue to get better. I think that's what attributed to the lower usage that year. I really didn't know where the ball was going in all fairness. So usually as a pitcher, if you don't know where it's going, you're not going to be very effective.
Yeah. And then the last one from that season, San Diego State.
San Diego State, goodness. Does it say if we were home or away? Oh, we were down in San Diego, weren't we?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So that one was, I think, one of my better outings. That was, I've started to kind of feel a little healthier, enjoyed kind of working through that in the season, and started to feel like I was starting to kind of hit my stride in terms of where my body was health wise. I think that was the biggest thing for me that year was I needed to understand that I was okay again
Yeah.
after the Tommy John surgery. I think that's one of the tougher markers to get through after you have one of those full reconstructions.
So then now 2020, your sophomore season, Oregon State, you pitched in 3 games. Um, and then let's see here. The one game I want you to talk to me about from that season was Mississippi State.
Yeah, that the Mississippi State game, that was a really fun one. I think what really sticks out to me about that one was the atmosphere. and obviously we'll circle back to me being on the other side, right?
Yeah.
Uh, Being an opposing player in the dude is pretty nerve-wracking because where the bullpen is, there's fans right behind you. Like if they really wanted to, they could probably reach out and touch you. They
Wow.
don't. But it was a really fun experience, and I think it sets you up for being able to block out the noise better. Because boy, was I hearing them the whole time warming up. Just, oh, you're terrible. Oh, here we go. There's another ball. They're getting on you, right? Ball one,
Yeah.
ball two, and you're just trying to get hot. And I think what that weekend it was like late February maybe early March. It was freezing. And so I'm just trying to get my body going, get hot. And then I used that a little bit as fuel. Like, okay, you think I'm not going to be good enough here. And it's kind of like that reckless abandon piece where it's, okay, all the prep is going to come together here. Just go play. And whatever I felt like, and I just went and did my job and competed. And it turned out to be my best outing of the year. And then unfortunately after that, the COVID shutdown happened, right? So,
Yeah.
um, I think that was something I was really excited to hopefully build off of, but didn't get the chance as the season ended. But that's okay. The experience was incredible, and I got to throw against some really high level bats. So I think that was something that I'll always take into account. Is it's an opportunity, and I got to take advantage of it.
Okay, so next, 2021, you decided to take the Juco route. So I want you to talk to me what all went into that decision, what all Jucos reached out to you, and then ultimately deciding on Eastern Oklahoma State.
Yeah, that process really stemmed from kind of what I talked about. Is like I knew I needed to be better to compete
Mhm.
at the Division One level, and I just wasn't cutting it in terms of the strike throwing ability. I knew I had more in the tank, and I felt like I needed to go somewhere that I could really just work on my craft, hone in, and really just take that year to really just enjoy baseball again. I think that's something I lost a little bit on the way, and I think it was a lot of undue pressure on myself, but as well as I said, I'm gonna go grab this, and if I can do it, I can do it. If I can't, that's okay, but I'm gonna give it everything I've got. And I think I look back on the COVID shutdown as probably the best thing that could have ever happened for my baseball career. I got to take that 5 6 months shutdown before we all went back to school as an opportunity to really kind of reinvent my body, understand where I was on the mound, get better strength thresholds, really lock in and spend multiple hours a day on, hey, this is what I do really well as a pitcher. I know I have these higher outputs. And as I started to do that, my velocity ticked up, my command ticked up, everything really just improved quite a bit for me. But I also still wanted to go as a hitter.
Okay.
Funny enough, I actually went to Oregon State as a two-way, but never really cut it at the plate, and I felt like I still could, but I think a lot of that again stems from the Tommy John not really having the confidence. I think I needed to work more as an arm, and where I'm at now, of course, the arm was what was going to get me to the professional level. Uh, so I actually was looking for junior colleges that were going to allow me to hit and pitch.
Okay.
And what got me, not a ton of junior colleges reached out. I think because we everyone wasn't quite sure about what eligibility would or would not be given back to people after that COVID season. So that was all a little murky. So it was more me reaching out to these schools through the network that I had, just finding places that I knew I wanted to live for a year, but really more so a coaching staff that was really invested in their guys, understood the development piece, but also understood that the game is a lot of failure. And I was really looking for an opportunity to go fail, adjust, and then succeed after the failure, right?
Yeah.
So I got connected to Coach Parker at
Yep.
Eastern through a guy that I had played some summer tournament ball through up here, Rhett Parker. And got me connected with Coach Parker. I went out to Eastern on a visit. They had a few of their guys out there. Took BP with me. I got to throw to the my catcher Wyatt Gray. Threw a bullpen for him, and then they kind of sat me down and said, "Hey, here's how we run things. What do you need from us? What can we do to kind of make this an easy transition for you? But as well as, hey, we're looking for the best possible situation for all of our guys. Like, I mean, I think Sandlin can attribute to that as well,
Yep.
but I was pretty much sold as soon as I left after the visit. I Coach Parker, Coach Oney, Coach Ruiz, those guys were instrumental to that whole year, but as well as just beyond. They were so dialed in their planning and an understanding of everybody's improving all the time, not just the players themselves. So that really stood out to me. And pretty much as soon as I left on that visit, I was like, okay, this is the spot. This is where I need to be for that year to really find my next step and grow as a baseball player, but as well as a human being. I think that's something that they really sold me on. Not that I knew I was looking for that, but they really hammered the character aspect and growing up as a man as well. So I think that went hand in hand with my decision. Um, and it turned out to be the best baseball decision I could have ever made, right?
Yeah.
Had a fantastic year, met some amazing people. I think the culture that they created there was second to none.
Okay, so 2021, that season, you made 13 appearances with 12 starts on the mound, posted a 2.45 ERA, 10 and 2 record with three complete games. So, going back from that year in JUCO, what were some of your favorite games from that time and some of your favorite teams that you faced?
Yeah, the Seminole State was always a fantastic game. They had some really talented bats and a couple really talented arms as well. So going into those games, being in conference, you always knew it was going to be a dogfight, every single one. And I think that was it. It upped my competitiveness level. I think, um, and I think I had one of my best starts of the year against them at Seminole. I got to throw 6 innings, shutout, and those ones really stand out as like team wins because those games were never the bats were never going necessarily crazy, but it was always, hey, we're gonna get 4 runs throughout the game and just chip away, and our staff's gonna keep them off the bases, keep them from scoring, and we're gonna get the job done. And I think that was something Coach Parker preached a lot, was a lot of team baseball, and that was what made it the most fun. I think almost every game stands out to me because that's
Yeah.
how we played, and it was such a fantastic group of guys. Um, could not have had more fun each time I got to start. I think I wasn't just pitching for myself. You're pitching for the other 8 guys behind you and the other 20 in the dugout.
Okay, so next I'm going through your statistics from that season. And next I want you to talk to me about facing, if you can remember this,
Mhm.
facing NEO on May 13th, 2021.
Facing Enio on May 13th. Did I go like 5 innings or so? Five and a
Uh
third, maybe?
6.
I went 6. Goodness. How many? What was my line there? Or was that in the playoffs, maybe?
I think so. Let me see. It looks like you only gave up 4 hits and 1 run.
Okay, I think that was playoffs. That game was amazing. Neo, another team that I always remember throwing against. They had a lot of scrappy guys. Um, wasn't the easiest strikeout really for any of them. They're fouling it off. They wanted to get the pitch count up, and they had a lot of speed at the top of the order. So those were always the games where wasn't necessarily going for the strikeout. I was just, hey, get yourself out. I'm going to go right at you, and we're going to go win this ball game. Um, I think one of the things I remember most was I think it took us about four. I think it was 4 innings to finally get on the board. It was later, three or four. Mac McCroskey hit a home run, and that was never his game. He wasn't the home run hitter. He was usually the doubles and the gap guy, but he got into this thing, and our dugout just erupted. And that is something that I will never forget in that start. That it almost, because I was gassed at that point. Like I was pretty tired, but it felt like it just shot a thing of adrenaline into me, and I got 3 more innings out of it, and really just a fantastic experience. And then we had I think McGowan threw the game afterwards where we beat, I think we beat Connors,
Yep.
and then Sandlin, I believe, pitched the final game against Seminole.
Yep.
And I remember warming up to close that game actually against Seminole and getting to run out of the bullpen and dogpile after Carson Cheek closed it out. Just an amazing experience. So that was a fantastic one. But that's some, like I said, that year's something I'll never forget.
And then your last ever JUCO appearance, Crowder, May 21st, 2021.
Yeah. Router. That game will always stand out. Another example. I think people not sleep on, but forget about how much talent is at the JUCO level, right?
Yeah.
They had again a lot of good bats. I think they clipped me for a couple of home runs. One of the guys, I remember this clear as day. Uh, we called inside fastball. It was a lefty. I think it was 95 on the inner half, and he inside out of it, home run over the left field fence. And I think that was in like the fifth or something.
Mm.
And I remember our pitching coach coming out, catcher coming out, having a chat. And first thing he says, he goes, "What happened there? He missed his spot." Our catcher goes, "He threw it exactly to my glove." So, an example of like sometimes they just beat you, right?
Yeah.
But that one, I think it was an understanding of, hey, this is possibly the last one I'm going to have here. I'm going to give it everything I have. I think I ended up throwing 120 some pitches. Uh, every time I come back in the dugout, coach would ask me, "You good to go?" I say, "Yep," every time. Eventually, he didn't give me an option, right?
Yeah.
Eventually, he went to the bullpen. Um, but Coach Parker would ask me every time I got off the mound, probably from the fifth on, "Hey, you good to go?" "Yep." "Hey, you good to go?" "Yep." So I was going to leave it all out there, but that was one of my best outings of the year as well. I think something that stands out is being able to work with Coach Parker, Coach Oney, and Coach Ruiz. They were very much so communicative in, hey, what do you need? How's the recovery going? What different things can we implement? How can we be better at practice? How can we be better on getting you guys ready to go? I think I really appreciated that they respected my thoughts on, hey, this is where my body's at, this is where some other guys are from what I see. I think this is how we can improve on a daily basis, or hey, we might need a little bit lighter on the defensive side today. I think they want to get more swings in, or however it might go. I think that, and they did that with pretty much everybody. If when they got to the point of, I think it was mostly the older guys, right? You rely on your older guys, but
Yeah.
uh, I think that's something that really made us a great team. Was it wasn't just them running things. They put things into place that were non-negotiables. Of course, this is the standard we run by, and everybody understood that. But it was also a communicative back and forth of like, hey, this is how I think we need to improve, or hey, this is what we need right now. And that allowed all of us to, as the season went on, everybody improved. It wasn't there was a mid-season peak and then a fall off. It was every single weekend we got better and better and better, and it was amazing.
Okay, so next, what was your recruitment like out of JUCO before ultimately deciding on Mississippi State? I heard this a little bit when I had Coach Oney on the podcast, but I want to hear your perspective.
Yeah, the calls started coming in relatively quickly when I'd started kind of ticking up the velocity in the fall. Um, they were really fantastic about promoting us. I think that was another thing. Again, they were players, coaches, right? They wanted to get their guys to the next spot, and so we went down and threw or played against the Blue Jays scout team at Dallas Baptist, and I had a good 3 inning stint. Velocity was where I wanted it to be, throwing a lot of strikes, and I think it really picked up after that. Was getting a lot of the SEC schools. I think like TCU reached out, Arkansas reached out, Mississippi State reached out, Tennessee gave me a call, and I think ultimately what landed me at Mississippi State was I knew already what Starkville kind of looked like,
Yeah.
being able to play against them on the other side, but pitching coach, Coach Foxhall at Mississippi State, had recruited me out of high school to NC State
Okay.
before, and I liked what he had to say when I was in high school. He kind of kept tabs on me, and another example of he aligned very similarly with Coach Oney, Coach Parker in terms of how they wanted to go about. getting guys what people they liked, how they wanted to build a pitching staff, and those different things. And I think that ultimately was what helped me make my decision to end up at Mississippi State. Was I trusted Coach Foxhall. I had a good understanding of what the dude was like. I wanted to play in that environment. I wanted to go compete at the SEC level, and ultimately, that's what landed me at Mississippi State.
So 2022, your senior season, you made three appearances on the year, all in relief. So there's two games I want you to talk to me about that are listed here. The first one is Arkansas Pine Bluff.
Yeah, that was my first outing of that year. Um, Again, I kind of caught the can't throw strikes bug there. I I forgo going to pro ball out of junior college, went to Mississippi State, decided to end up on campus, and I put a lot of pressure on myself to be perfect. Um, and I think inadvertently I gave myself the yips. I know people don't like saying that word, but I had the yips, absolutely. And so I can remember that Pine Bluff game of I have to throw strikes. I have to do this. I have to do that. And it didn't go. I got out of it. I competed well enough. I had decent stuff. But as the year progressed, it really was a tough time finding the zone. I made each pitch the biggest thing in the world instead of just doing my process, doing my job. And I think that was a very much so a struggle in the sense of what I was doing on the baseball field that year. I put a lot of pressure on myself to, okay, if you're not perfect, you're not going to get what you want out of the draft. And I think I just kind of dug myself into that little bit of a mental block when I would go out and play instead of going back to what I would do at junior college was, hey, this is fun. Like I get to do this. I'm going to go compete for the guys. I'm going to go compete for myself. And my preparation is going to be what leads me to having success, not the other way around, right? And so I think that I remember the Arkansas Pine Bluff game. Okay, I did okay. All right, we're going to be all right. Feeling like I was going to gain a little bit of momentum, just thinking it was going to fix itself, right? And I think I had a lot more inward reflection to do instead.
So then the last one, Jackson State.
Oh goodness, I don't even remember Jackson State. I really only remember Pine Bluff and Tennessee.
Okay. Oh yeah, let's talk about Tennessee.
Yeah, I remember Tennessee, and oh gosh, they were taking it to us. That was the year that they just had bats on bats on bats,
Mm.
and I remember we were down like 20 to 2 or something, and it got to the point where it's like, hey, Walling, you're going in. I was like, okay, and I think it was a little bit of a exhale for me. Is like, okay, I mean, we're already down by 18 right now, so just go throw it, let it fly. And I actually had a decent amount of success. I think I struck out Jordan Beck, was back up to 96. Body was feeling good again. I think I showed myself a little bit with that last outing. Okay, there's still something in the tank. Like it's not, this is more mental than physical. And I think that's when it really started to kind of click more for me. So I decided that after that, I needed to go. I'm going to go play summer ball. I'm going to enjoy my last little bit of baseball, even if I'm not going to be someone that's necessarily picked up in the draft. That's okay. I love baseball too much. I still have enough physical ability to do it. And I think that was where the mentality shift went again from you have to do these things to I'm going to continue to prepare the way that I need to, and then I'm going to go have fun. I'm gonna just let my stuff play and speak for itself, and we'll continue to sharpen that part of the knife.
So August 1st, 2022 rolls around. Before we get to that moment, can you tell me, like, what was that process like after the draft, who all you heard from, and then ultimately signing with the Phillies?
Yeah. So after the draft, I'm sitting there hoping maybe the 20th round, right? I
Yeah.
wasn't expecting anything more than that. I did not throw well at Mississippi State. I had an okay summer in the draft league with Williamsport,
Hmm.
and that was a great experience as well. Got to play under former big leaguer Jesse Litch and another guy again, insightful, put a lot of knowledge about just the game and how to kind of make it less about having to do things and more being process oriented. And so I think he was a crucial piece in me finding a little bit more of myself and going back to the basics that summer. But I really didn't hear from anyone. I was making phone calls. I was actually going to go back to school and play at Utah Valley
Okay.
for a grad year, and I was calling teams like crazy. Every scout's phone number that I had, I was like, I will sign. Like, I just need a shot here. And then I didn't have any contact with the Phillies actually, and they one day just no, I didn't have any way to contact them. I didn't hear from them. I
Aw.
didn't know a dang thing about them. And then I got a call from Mike Stoffer, who was the area scout while I was at Mississippi State, actually. And he says, "Hey, it's Mike Stoffer with the Phillies. I want to know if you'd be willing to come play some pro ball." And I said, "Absolutely." So they called. No, the rest is obviously history now, right? But
Yeah.
I bit at the opportunity as soon as they gave it to me, and again, so thankful for that guy putting my name in the hat and giving me an opportunity. That's all I was looking for, and now it's the last few years been trying to make the absolute most of it.
So next for you, Andrew, is I want you to take me through your years of the process to get to AAA, and I want you to talk to me about each stop.
Yeah. So the year I got signed in 2022, they they bring us in, they do physicals, you get all the paperwork done, and then you usually start in like the rookie ball at the complex for a few
Yeah.
weeks, get your reps in, and then for the last month of the minor league season, I played over with Clearwater. To the
Okay.
last like I think it was like the last 3 weeks or so. And so got my first little taste of true kind of like minor league baseball. The complex side, it's a lot of younger guys, a lot of more high school guys from Dominican Venezuela that are 16, 17, first time in the United States. So it's uh it's a little bit more of a bare bones baseball game, right? Um, but again, all of it was so eye opening, and pro ball is definitely different from college ball because it's more individual performance. And um, so that was kind of that first little stint. Got to go home, take my first off season, and then showing back up in. I believe I was at a camp in November for like strength camp. Went back home for the holidays, and then showed back up in mid January. Kind of got things going. Worked into my first spring training, and then I got to make the Clearwater roster. So that would be low A out of spring training that 2023 year. To start the season, had a few shaky outings, but nothing crazy. And then kind of continued to just find my stride. And it was more my that year was more just developing my understanding of the strike zone, being able to put my secondary pitches in the zone more often as opposed to just my fastball. And that was just an amazing team. We I think won the first half at like one of the highest paces that has ever been done. We were champs by June, which
Dang.
is which is crazy. So it was a really tight knit group of guys, and again, I think that's something I'm really enjoying about the Phillies organization is they take pride in getting character guys and really people that take pride in their process and what they do here. So it's always a really fun environment to be in on a daily basis. Even if you're struggling, it's easy to kind of pour into others. So that's always been nice because pro ball can get lonely if you're really inwardly focused or and it's tough. Like it's performance based and you got to do your job or they'll find someone else. And I think everybody understood that, but we also understood that we're all pulling on the same end of the rope and
Yeah.
one person's success or failure is not going to be what pushes you to the next spot. It's your own performance. So I think that was what made that team so tight knit. And we won a lot of games. And throughout that year, I continued to progress. And then I think it was All Star break, I got the bump up to Jersey Shore, got to go see a little bit more of like the Northeast was like. And um, meeting a new staff and pitching with a new group of guys. I think each level has its own different thing you've got to learn, right? And so I had a ton of success when I first got to Jersey Shore. I thrown a lot of strikes, getting ahead of guys early, and I think that was more so something I learned was like if I can get ahead faster. Obviously, that's the most simple part of baseball, right? That's the pitcher's
Right.
job, but you don't really think about it that way. You're trying to throw perfect fastballs, and metrically, you're chasing these different things. But when I was able to be talked to by Brady Lale, he really emphasized simplifying the game and making it about what your job is and how you can execute that at the highest level. And I think that attributed a lot to the success I was able to have at the end of that season and got to actually pitch into a playoffs at the end of the year that year. Got to close out the first game we had in that series was a really, really fun atmosphere. The Jersey Shore faithful showed out. And so I got to close that one out against the Yankees affiliate, and unfortunately we dropped the next two. But it was all in all just a fantastic year of growth and development. And I think that's kind of the theme as I've gone through each year of my career, especially in pro ball. Is it's more about how my process can be better. What can I do right now? Controlling the controllables, all these cliches that people talk about, but it's really what attributes to being able to have the most success because these guys are professionals too that you're playing against. They're
Yeah.
paid to do it as well, and they're good. So all the time isn't going to be the most beautiful outing, but if you can find ways to make even your worst outing or the ugly ones still successful, you're still doing your job. And so it's not holding on to that prior outing. I think that's through the whole process. That's a lot of what I've learned. And then 24, so that following season started up in Jersey Shore again. And then I think it was similar story, All-Star break got the bump up to Double A Reading after I again got a little yipped up more with my fastball than anything. So my walk rate was a little higher in 24 to start the year, and then as the season progressed, continued to just get better and better at controlling what I could, not focusing on things that don't apply to me and I can't do anything about. Focus on what my process is, being healthy on a regular basis, be ready to go do my job. And then that really propelled me into hitting a really good stride kind of in that July phase, going out of the All-Star break, getting to go to Reading, and then just continuing that momentum. So I had a really strong finish in Reading that year. And then this last season started in Double A Reading. And through the first month of April, a little shaky, but not the worst. I think it was more so me hyperfixating on I need to be more precise instead of just continue to go attack guys with good stuff. Um, Unfortunately, had a little bit of a shoulder flare up,
Mm.
so that put me on the IL for about a month. But just a muscular fatigue type of thing, and then came back after I think I missed all of May, and then came back in June and started to really kind of find my footing again and made it a point to just again be process oriented. What can I do right now? What am I good at? What am I working on? Go execute it, make it simple for myself. And then started to really kind of find my stride again through really well through July, August. Was really having a lot of fun. Great group of guys again. Learned a lot from every stop. I think I've learned a ton from the pitching staff and the pitching coaches they put in place. Something that I'm really grateful for within this organization is they have a lot of guys that you can pick their brains and they're very insightful, and in a lot of cases they have been former big leaguers that are coming back and kind of giving us the knowledge that they attained while they were having their careers. So that's all where we want to be. So we ask those questions, right? And it always comes back to, hey, how can you be your best self? What makes you really good? What makes you different? And how can you continue to improve those things? And that's your job. Your job is out getting and continuing to progress. And so I think as I continued through August and really started to find my stride, like I said, got the call with the last 2 weeks in AAA. So got the opportunity to go up there, and first day I showed up, got to throw in Scranton, and then went 3 times that week. And I was like, "Oh, well, all right, cool. Welcome to AAA ball. You're gonna go." And I loved it. I think that was at each stop. It's been what are the new experiences? Those are things that you can't forget, right? The first
Right.
time you walk into that new locker room, the first time you shake the new manager's hand, it's like, okay, this is something I'll never forget. This is each new stop on the journey. And I think that was really something that stood out to me this last year was making it about what can I do to make this my best effort every day? How can I really hone in on my process and then take it in? Like be in the moment, be right where you are every single day. And it made the year fly, honestly. I had so much fun and finished strong, got the opportunity to finish in AAA and see what that was all about. And now going into this next spring, opportunity to earn a job in AAA again, and then hopefully make that next step to the major leagues.
So you played in 43 games. You went 4-6 with a 3.97 ERA, 47.2 innings pitched in 54 strikeouts with a 1.24 WHIP. What are the lessons that you learned from this past season, and what are your expectations going into 2026?
Yeah, lessons learned are continue to be as consistent as possible. So on a daily basis, your routines are so important. Your attention to detail on how you're maintaining your body, different ways that you can stay as ready as possible. How can you recover? How can you show up with the best possible energy? Because every day is not going to be the best day you have on the planet, but you still have to be able to show up and
Yep.
perform and be able to go out there and do your job. Um, I think I learned through a little bit of an IL stint this year that I can continue to be really good at the little things, and no matter how big or small a moment is, it's the preparation that gives you the confidence to go out there and continue to perform and do your job at a high level. Um, I think there's always going to be struggles. There's always going to be times where something's a little off or one pitch isn't working one day, and it's being able to have the confidence and the understanding in yourself that what you do before the games on a weekly basis and the body of evidence that you create for yourself is going to average out. Like it's such a long season. You can't get lost in one bad outing or a month missed. Because I think at one point my ERA, right? People look at that a lot. I think it had ballooned into the double digits at one point this last season. And I didn't let that be something that stuck out. It just had to be day by day. I think that's something that my teammate and I, Dylan Campbell, joked about a little bit, but it holds a lot of truth that it is just day by day. We play so many games. There's so many different moments that you can have on a daily basis, whether it's in the weight room, whether it's playing catch, whether it's in the ninth inning. If you can maximize every little bit of the mental rep and the clarity and the focus, that is what progresses you to the next spot, and it helps it even out. The snowball doesn't get too big at that point. I think that's where a lot of guys can run off the rails a little bit, and I think we all get stuck in it, but whether it's baseball or not. It's being able to look at a mistake or look at a rough outing and say, this is what I'm going to put in and how I'm going to fix it. Because we're the only ones that can do it. No one's going to do it for us. No one can go out there and throw it for you. It's you versus the batter, and you got to go do your job. So if you can make it day by day, pitch by pitch, adjustments become a lot easier. Different little quirks or swing decisions or pitch decisions that you made become a lot clearer because it's objective at that point. There's no emotion attached to it. It's just, what did I do? What was the result? Does it need to be better, or can I repeat that? And then you just go to the next spot. So I think that was a massive thing that I took from this season, is that at the end of the day, hitting is still really hard. And when you have good stuff and you go right at people and you make it about what is my process, my plan, and how can I make him beat me instead of beating myself. Um, so I think that's something that I really took from this year, and that I hope to continue to throughout my career, is make it really simple, small little blips, memory like a goldfish, always going to that improvement instead of dwelling on something that could have been a little better. It always can be better, but the hardest part is the in between. What can we do to get to that point?
Okay. What is your welcome to JUCO, welcome to D1, and welcome to the minors moment?
Ooh, those are good. I think Welcome to JUCO was 6 a.m. Tart Pulse.
Oh,
I think that was 6 a.m. Tart Pulse when it's 38 and rainy.
ah,
I think those are the all right, we gotta go. I gotta go get myself some rubber boots. I gotta go get gloves because I didn't have that going in, right? And so talking to the different teammates, I'm like, all right, how do things go here? And they were talking about, yeah, we got to pull the tarp and do all these different things. The field maintenance.
yeah.
I think that is a welcome to JUCO moment, and you know what? I embraced it. It's part of it, and it was also some really funny moments that guys get swept away by the tarp, or people show up at a later time and sleep in, or oh crap, we got to get this guy up. And there's those different moments that you have, right? And those are kind of the welcome to JUCO. Like, all right, we're gonna get our hands dirty for a little bit.
Yeah.
I think at one point in the season we actually it was before the opener. I don't think it was conference, but it was like the season opener in February. Massive snowstorm had hit, and we were
Oh,
actually we actually went out and shoveled the field. I think 3 days before opening day was supposed to start, so we could actually dry it out, and so it didn't just melt into the field and make a lake. Um, so I think those are some welcome to JUCO moments. Um, Welcome to D1 moments. I think that was oddly enough, it was when I was hitting in a fall ball scrimmage. I was facing Grant Gambrell, and he was a 94 to 97 with a wipeout slider and a pretty good changeup.
mhm.
And I saw all three of the, I saw four pitches in the at bat and went and sat down. And I said, "Oh, um, all right, these guys have some different stuff here." Obviously, coming from high school, probably the hardest I'd ever seen in my life was 94. Um, in a live environment, and he was throwing some pretty nasty stuff. So I think that was a eye-opening moment of, oh, okay, that's what this level of competition is like. All right, here we go. And then welcome to the minor leagues was quite honestly was probably one of the first meetings that we had with our low A manager Marty Malloy. And I think it was a rain delay, and this was in 22. We had a rain delay, but we were sticking around because we were starting it no matter what, so we had to get the game in. So we had a hour and a half, 2 hour rain delay, and he came back in. He said, "Hey, we're gonna get going. Like, we're gonna play again." And everybody kind of goes, "Oh, like seriously, we're gonna actually do this?" And then he just goes, "Welcome to the minor leagues. If you don't like it, play better." And I think that just sticks to me. Is like, okay, yeah, there's some stuff that you just got to deal with and take the punches and roll with it.
Yeah. Okay, so next what we're gonna do is we're gonna go back to your time in JUCO and we're gonna go through this roster and I want you to talk to me about each person that I say, okay? So the first one we're gonna go with is going to be Mac McCrowski.
Swaggy Mac, yeah, he a fantastic guy. Was got pretty close to him. Got to go to Arkansas and spend some time with his family and go see where he grew up. And I think he's still playing in
Yeah,
the Angels organization.
yep, Angels Double A.
Um, but the glove work is unbelievable. Still to this day, I mean, I see highlights of him all the time. But always had a solid bat. But if I could get a ground ball to shortstop, it was an out. I mean, that guy was a vacuum out there. It was really impressive. And again, it goes to show you that there's a lot of talent at the junior college level.
Yeah. Okay, so this next one is a guy we've already talked about him today, David Sandlin.
David, oh. Sometimes the happiest guy on the planet, sometimes the angriest person. He's really, really competitive and very hard on himself sometimes too hard. Um, Very impressive, long limbed, but oh my goodness, what a teammate. Guy was on the edge of the railing all the time for you. Super high level competitor, pushed himself to be even better than already how amazing he was. Um, and at the time, I think in terms of stuff, like he wasn't quite throwing the same velocities that McGowan and I were. And now he's sitting 98 and touching
Yeah.
101s like and he knew it was going to be there. So I think that was a really it's been a cool thing to watch him develop and kind of come into his own and continue that high octane competitiveness, continuing the the work ethic that he had. And it was always a really fun guy to like that the fact that that was the guy that we got to throw in the third game of every weekend was incredible. uh, it was always funny watching him dissect people when he'd have the fastball up going and then he'd throw the splitty off of it. Nobody stood a chance.
So on your JUCO team, Nate Ackenhausen.
My swim buddy, actually. So I was like his accountability buddy. I guess you could say what that was. But he was always a funny, just daily basis at practice. He'd always have a little wise quip in some sort of way in passing, or he always had a little something to say, and it was always pretty funny. But he was always a guy that was impressive. That you knew that there was going to continue to be more in the tank because I think at that time I think he was a freshman, I
Yep.
believe.
Yep.
So yeah, so he had just come out of high school, and so seeing that as like his first year of college, like you knew that there was going to be some pretty impressive stuff there. And he was always a really, really high octane strike thrower, and I think just as he's developed and his body has continued to catch up with him, the stuff has continued to tick up, and he's always been a guy that's been competitive in the zone. So yeah, Ack was another guy that he would start for us from time to time that year, but usually he'd kind of come out of the pen later in games and throw those leverage innings when one of us would come out in the fifth or sixth. And it was nice to know that he was waiting in the wings to be able to shut a game down. He was a fun guy to have around.
And he's also a big duck hunter.
Yes, he loved his duck hunting. Yes, he did. He said, "We get a break. I'm gonna go shoot some ducks." I said, "Power to you, man. Sounds
Power
fun."
to, power to you. Okay, then this next one is a guy that was in JUCO with you. He was a freshman and he is with the San Diego Padres minor league organization, and he also will be coming on my podcast soon. Matthew Watson.
Waddy. Yeah, he that year he was a little banged up. I remember he had some elbow stuff and ended up getting Tommy John later on, but he was one again. He came in and you could see that the stuff was in there. He was a lanky kid, could throw it hard pretty consistently, but he was almost he needed to grow into his body a little bit more, right? He's still
Yep.
a freshman. He could tell he kind of wasn't super sure or understanding of where his body was, but he'd always ask really good questions, and I think I appreciate that about him was when he would ask pitching questions, it wouldn't be something that was super obvious, or even sometimes he'd make me kind of think about it. Being a guy that I went out there and threw at a high level multiple times throughout the year for us. It felt good to have someone kind of want to pick my brain, but at the same time, he'd ask me questions that would also make me go, I don't really have an answer for that. And so I think again that shows to why he's been able to make it into the minor leagues, and it'll be fun to see his progression through the Padres system.
Okay, next, I want you to talk to me. What are some of your favorite Coach Oni stories?
Some of my favorite Coach Oni stories. Wow. I think some of my most not necessarily most memorable, but I think a lot of the time it would be me, Dave, Oni, and then one of my buddies from high school. We played a lot of Call of Duty that year. Um, it was we would. go and play some ranked. And I think those were some of the most, not necessarily most memorable moments, but that's something that stands out as something I did a lot with Coach Oney was we'd get on and we'd play a lot of Call of Duty together, and I think it just goes to show you that it's nice to be able to have that chemistry with your pitching coach. He's a guy that you can literally sit down for a couple of hours and let's just go mess around on Call of Duty, not worry about baseball, not worry about what we're gonna do the next day. Just let's go win some games on the internet against some people. Um, I think something that stands out, just it is imprinted in my brain, is the Oni attaboy. Um, you get a strikeout or you get a big out to end the inning, or one of our guys gets a backside double with runners on. It was attaboy, and it stands out. It just cuts through. No matter who's videoing or where the microphone is, you can pick out after a big play. It's Oni saying attaboy, and I'm sure you can probably go into some West Virginia files now,
Yeah,
video files, and you can immediately pick out who's saying attaboy. But the guy was just incredibly supportive and um, always looking to learn. I think that was something he still is.
yeah,
It's something that makes him as good as he is at what he does, and it's why he's now at West Virginia creating at least from what I can see, a pitching powerhouse.
yeah,
They've been better and better every single year, so
yeah.
that's been amazing to see.
Okay, next up, Coach Matt Parker.
Coach Parker, I think some of his most memorable moments are his word games with he'd call it, you want to play word games. So if someone would make a comment back, or he would always just not rip into them, but he would win with wits. It wasn't like he's going to break anyone down, he's going to degrade or anything. He did it in such a way that it was a little bit humorous but also super serious at the same time. Um, I think that was something that was always so impressive about how he could show just the compassion and the care, but as well as he was stern when he needed to be. And I think that's why we had so much success and why we all respected him so much is he had a way he liked things ran, and he stuck to it and he led by example. And I think that was why we were having such an incredible season and it was such an amazing group of people, is he understands that there's a type of guy that he wants around, and he makes it a point to bring those people in. So uh, I can just always remember him at the end of the season putting his arm around me, just thanking me. But I think I'm beyond thankful for him and the opportunity that he gave. Um, Changed my entire career path. I think it really did. So couldn't be more grateful for him and his wife, Lindsay, also an amazing part of the team and always so supportive. And their two little ones, Court and Charlie, they always love being around the boys, and we'd play games with them, and they'd always like to be a part of it. So it was very much a family oriented culture, and I think that's what made it so enjoyable to show up on a daily basis and really want to work hard for the guy.
Juco bus ride stories.
Juco bus ride stories. I always remember being handed the ox. So that was there was still some COVID regulations.
Yeah.
So we didn't ride a bus.
Okay.
We did, I think it was three or four vans. So that if somebody had a breakout, then you could kind of pinpoint, okay, this is the people they were in contact with. And that way the whole team isn't out for a whole weekend. And I think what I remember is always we'd get about 10 minutes, 15 minutes away, and I'd get handed the aux cord. I'd ride inOni's van, and we would plug that thing in and play the music, the pump up, and get ready to go attack, go get the next team when we go on those road trips. But it was always you'd play different games, or you'd just chat with different guys and pick people's brains. I think that was something that was always really fun, was being able to just you get in those little pods, and you find out different things about people, or what are we going to do later, or how are we going to go attack this guy, or hey, what did you do this last weekend, or you kind of chirp different guys, and you do it around Oni because you kind of could, right? I
Yeah.
can't I imagine that Coach Parker's van was probably a little bit different. Just in terms of the being able to kind of air people's dirty laundry, right? But it's the jarring that you do with each other
Yeah.
because you're all buddies, and I think those were the most memorable moments.
Okay, so next, one of my friends actually plays in the Phillies organization, and I want to know if you know him, okay?
Mhm.
John Spikerman.
So I only briefly got to meet Spike this last year when I was in the rehab group in January, February in the previous year. And he came in there and I just in passing a few times, but seems like a great guy. Another example of the Phillies kind of
Yeah.
making sure that character is something that
Yeah.
they also value along with talent. So um, I was kind of out on my way out when he had hurt himself. So I didn't get to spend a ton of time with him, but I do know of Spike, and I know he's got some pretty sick twitch in
Yeah.
terms of that swing and the running ability. So it'll be fun to see him have a healthy year.
Okay, and then next, my question for you is this guy was with the Phillies. He's now with Kansas City Royals. Matt Strom.
So the only interaction I've really gotten to have with Strom was again that early spring training period. He had shown up early to get some throwing and lifting and prep work done, and I got sick. And the next day I came in and it was just one of those respiratory viruses, right? And
Yeah.
I was in there coughing and sniffling, and I went in there to the training room and blew my nose while uh, he was just doing his prep work. And he goes, "Oh, sorry, man." And I was like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Yeah, that was me. And my kids got it, and now you guys all have it. Like, I'm sorry." And so, but he was very, very cordial, and he just went about his business. I think that's probably the best way that I can put it. Was if there was anything to look to, it was how he went about his routines, and it was just consistent. And he'd show up, do his thing, and then he'd head out.
What is something that you struggled with this season that you want to improve on?
Something I struggled with. I think that would be probably my sweeper. I think just the consistency of it. I think the shapes on it were hit and miss a little bit last year. Um, and so I think for myself, I want to be able to repeat it more often. And so to me, that's being able to throw the one for a strike and then throw the one for a strike out. Um, I think it just eluded me from time to time, and that's how some seasons will go for different guys. If you probably ask most people, is some years that one pitch is a little elusive, and you just got to spend a little extra time on it in the off season. So I'm confident that I'm going to be able to roll in this spring and really have that dialed and take it into the season and have a lot of success with it.
What is some things to expect on the Division One level?
Some things to expect: a lot on your plate between school and practice, so it's being able to balance when you're getting that stuff done to be able to still do what you want as well. So I always found that if I could kind of get my homework done right when I got it, even if it was a later deadline, that was usually something that was a little easier on me. Um, it's still long days, and it is very much still a performance and competitive based level. So it's about making it so you get better every single day. And I think a lot of what I went through at the Division 1 level was I made it about what I had to do instead of what about I got to do or how good my process could be. And so I would expect early morning weights, or I would expect long practices, and I would expect a lot of extra time put in on the baseball side for yourself, unless you're that top 1% that's going to be already a high level draft pick. And some people are just blessed with that. But in most cases, I think with the baseball side, it's going to be expect a lot of hours put into the baseball side if that's what you want to do after college. Um, I think a lot of guys either can. show up and just do it, or you got to be someone who has to continue to put the reps in over and over again. That's the beauty of baseball is it's not necessarily a game you can just pick up and be amazing at all the time.
Right.
So, yeah, expect some stern coaches, expect high expectations when you get there. You're at a Division 1, but also expect to believe that you belong there. There's a reason you're there, and show up ready to compete and get yourself better every single day. Become really good at your process.
What's the biggest thing you noticed transitioning from the JUCO to the D1 to the minors?
Yeah, the biggest transition I think from Division 1 to junior college was more so than anything facilities. I think that's where a lot of Division 1 programs kind of make their separation is the facility they can offer you, where you're playing, different amenities, cages, weight rooms, nutrition. Um, because beyond that, Coach Parker ran it like a Division 1 program. You show up to a Coach Parker program, it's going to be a Division 1 program. Just how he expects things, it's very similar. I think that's also what made it easy for me to transition to the program that he was running. And then honestly, from JUCO to the minor leagues, a lot of similarities to junior college in the sense of it's longer hours. It's a little more. You got to kind of grind through some adversity more often. Uh, Same thing with the Division 1. Like you have the better facilities and access to these trainers and more of these different amenities that can kind of help you progress or stay on the field. And that's not that the minor leagues don't have them. It's just the field you're playing on isn't necessarily the 15,000 stadium with a
Yeah.
perfect mound and a turf field, and like there's different things that aren't as up to par with a Division 1. So I would say that until I got to about AA, and even some AA stadiums are still a little bit behind. Um, in terms of facilities, you're not going to find anything better than Division 1 facilities until you get to some AAAs and then the big leagues.
Okay, so next thing that I have for you is what are some of your favorite things about JUCO?
I think some of my favorite things were just the focus on the development side of understanding that guys aren't going to be perfectly fine-tuned all the time. There's going to be some failures. There's lots of learning moments. But as well as you're all kind of in the trenches together, so everyone gets a lot closer. Um, it's very much a community or a family of a baseball team because everybody's going through the same adversity and the same different environments. It's not as easy. So I think there's a an underlying level of respect and understanding that hey, we're all digging through this together and this is what we want to do at the same time. So let's be happy and let's try to find a way to win on a daily basis. And I think it was just a very rewarding experience with the decision to go to junior college. And I think I never understood how high of level of ball players were still at the junior college level. I knew there was good players, but I think it really opened my eyes to the volume of it. Just how many guys were still really, really high level players at junior colleges, and this is all around the country. So I think that's also why you're seeing so much more of the junior college transfer to Division 1 immediately starting right now, right? And like that's kind of the atmosphere of the baseball now. But I think in so many cases out of high school, more guys really need to consider the junior college route if they want to pursue baseball beyond collegiate, or even if they just know that they want to continue to develop, but they're not quite ready to be at the big D1 because there's a lot of eyes on you at the big Division 1 versus the junior college is a lot more intimate. It's a smaller environment. There's more time for you to get individual development work in, and you have all of these different avenues to really choose to progress your own career. And so I think that was something that I really, really enjoyed at junior college.
What is something you do when you get into a slump?
I shave my beard or I shave my head. Change the hair some way or form
Okay.
because in a lot of cases the like that's me talking about being making it objective, right? Like there's still superstitious stuff. I'll shave it into a mustache, or I'll give myself a buzz cut, or whatever it might be. Um, but it's not changing how your process is, right? So I think that's something that I've kind of that's my superstition now, is like it doesn't need to be something that I necessarily change, and oh, I need to change my leg lift, or I need to mess with my finish, or do this or do that. It's usually it's you can look at the game objectively and say I didn't execute, or my stuff was bad that day, and that's okay. I'm gonna go fix that part, but you know what? This was the reason that my stuff was bad that day, so I'm gonna shave it off, and then we're gonna get better next time.
So, my next question for you is what advice do you have for high school players, JUCO players, D1 players trying to make it to the next level like you have?
Yeah, the I think the biggest thing that I can highlight is you have to fall in love with doing the little stuff and understanding who you are as a player. And that's going to evolve as you continue to play, of course, but like if your game is speed, understand how you can best get on base and use the speed. I think a prime example of that is the guy in our organization, Justin Crawford. The guy is incredibly fast. And that's not to say that he doesn't have all these other skills too, but he really understands what his game is. And he finds a way to get on base. He creates chaos. He's always on second base somehow. He's scoring runs. He's making plays. He's stealing bases. And it's because he's so good at his process. On a daily basis, he shows up. He knows what he's going to do to prep his body. He knows what he's going to do in the cage. He knows how he's going to go take those outfield routes, and then he goes and he plays. I think that's the part that we miss a lot, is when we get to the game, we don't allow ourselves to be free. We're thinking about that hip load, or we're still thinking about the process instead of not leaving any stone unturned in your prep, and then being able to trust yourself to go execute it. Even if you don't execute it at the highest level that day, if you have your plan, if you have your strengths, and you know how you're going to go attack that day, it gets really easy to play free instead of thinking about, oh, I didn't separate my hands on time, or I didn't come through that ball the right way. You allow yourself to have that athletic freedom, because so much of baseball is played reactionary. Like you got to just quickly make a decision and do it. And so the less you can get out of your own head, the more you can play free and trust that process that you put in beforehand. It gets really easy, um, even if you're going to fail a lot. But if you can walk up there and say, you know what, I'm really focused on hitting the outer half today in terms of where my at the plate approach is when I'm hitting, because that's where I'm most powerful. That's where I drive the ball. That's what I'm going to force him to do. And if the pitcher then throws three perfect inside fastballs, more than likely, probably won't. But if he does, it makes it really easy to kind of tip your cap and say, "All right, you got me that day." Of course, there's moments where you have to compete, but it allows you that freedom for you to compete a little bit more. And the guys that I've played with that have continued to progress and keep moving up through, those themes are pretty common in each guys. They understand their processes. They become almost, I don't want to say hyper focused, but it's non-negotiable. They're going to do what they need to do to prepare themselves, and then the rest is going to take care of itself.
So, what three people do you know in Division One or the minors that went JUCO that you'd want to see on my podcast?
Ooh, in the minors that went to JUCO, I'm gonna have to look this guy up real quick.
Okay,
I think he went to junior college and is playing in the Padres organization again, as well as Braden Nett.
okay. I'll look down now.
I believe he went JUCO.
Okay.
He and then more minor league guys that went junior college that need to be on the podcast. Let me just think of guys in our org. Tristan Garnett.
Okay.
He was a JUCO bandit for a year.
Perfect.
And then someone else that was a JUCO bandit. Jacob Melton.
Okay, perfect. So then next that I have for you, Andrew, is I'm not sure if you know this or not, but Eastern Oklahoma State made the JUCO World Series this year in Grand Junction.
They did. I saw that.
So what was your initial reaction to that?
Oh, exciting. I think just being able to see a place that you spent so much time at make it to the pinnacle. And of course, I wish they would have won it, but
Yeah.
maybe that's in the future. Um, it's good to see that the program's still in a really good place and it's a winning culture still. And you always want where you left and had such a good experience to be able to continue to have those opportunities. And I think it's amazing for the group of guys there. I'm sure they had an amazing time, even if they didn't win the whole thing. Just the experience of going and seeing that different part of the country. I think that's an amazing opportunity, and kudos to them.
Out of your career, what season means the most to you? What coach means the most to you?
In my career, it's the junior college season, and I think the just the that whole coaching staff, and that's not to say that anyone else is lesser. I just think that in terms of career trajectory, that group at Eastern Oklahoma had such an impact on where my career went and where I'm still at today, and the lessons I was able to learn and things I'm able to keep and continue to apply today. I think that is really what stands out, and that's not to say that I haven't still learned a ton and had super influential coaches in the Phillies organization or at Mississippi State or anywhere else. It's just that year really stands out as a pivotal moment in my baseball journey.
And then this past season, we were really close in the NCAA tournament to seeing Coach Oney versus Coach Parker. What was your initial reaction to that? Because we were really close to seeing that happen.
I was really rooting for it. I think that would have been such a fantastic reunion, and again, it speaks volumes to the types of programs that those guys can build, right? If you get the right people in, it usually rights the ship and takes it in a direction that you're going to want. So I think those guys in anyone's corner is already an advantage, and I wish they would have been able to kind of match up, but hopefully that in the future we can just see them in Omaha.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. But yeah, well, um, Andrew, I really appreciate you for coming on today, man, and I really look forward to watching your career with the Phillies, man. Really excited to see the future.
Yeah, thank you. Fantastic questions, and I appreciate you having me on.
Most definitely, man. Have a great day.
You as well. Thank you,
Thank
Aiden.
you. No problem.